scholars who avow that the truths of science are merely the narratives of one culture will still have their child's infection treated with antibiotics prescribed by a physician rather than a healing song performed by a shaman. And though relativism is often adorned with a moral halo, the moral convictions of relativists depend on a commitment to objective truth. Yeah, yeah. En plus, was slavery a myth? Was the Holocaust just one of many possible narratives? Is climate change a social construction? Or are the suffering and danger that define these events really real? Claims that we know are true because of logic and evidence and objective scholarship. Now relativists stop being so relative. For the same reason, there can be no trade off between rationality and social justice or any other moral or political cause. The quest for social justice begins with the belief that certain groups are oppressed and others privileged. These are factual claims and may be mistaken, as advocates of social justice themselves insist in response to the claim that it's straight white men who are oppressed. Right. Okay. We affirm these beliefs because reason and evidence suggest they are true. They sing. Just check out my last interview, literally just 15 minutes ago. I asked someone, how do you know that something is true? And she said, because my reasoning processes are like, because my brain agrees that it is true. And um, I'm not sure that actually that guarantees truth. Let me just reread. We affirm these beliefs because reason and evidence suggest they are true. All right, all right. Maybe when he's saying we, he's not talking about Joe Schmo. So people who are really properly committed to reason and evidence, no matter what. All right. Ideally, we affirm these beliefs because reason and evidence suggest they are true. And the quest, in turn, is guided by the belief that certain measures are necessary to rectify those injustices. Is leveling the playing field enough? Or have past injustices left some groups at a disadvantage that can only be set right by compensatory policies? Would particular measures merely be feel-good signaling that leaves the oppressed groups no better off? Would they make matters worse? Advocates of social justice need to know the answers to these questions, and reason is the only way we can know anything about anything, and empiricism. Great. So that's all wonderful. By the way, a little quote from Eris. You can't be dumb and good. It's just not possible. You can follow the pre-programmed moral instincts that you have, not think through any of them, not be able to answer any real questions about the moral policies and the situations and stuff, and just go with, you're in action bias, you're in group, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But that's not real morality, even though it will seem to people like real morality, because if you just follow your pre-programmed instincts, well, that'll probably be pretty similar to other people's pre-programmed instincts. And so, wow, he's so nice. He smiles so much, never speaks out of turn, blah, 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 or whatever the things are that the pre-programmed morality that we have. And then also, yeah, he would never, whatever, we're not going to get into it. But if you actually want to accomplish good, if you actually want to be doing good, that requires work to figure out what that is. That requires thinking. That requires study. What are my goals? What are the values that are important to me? And then how do we accomplish those things? And you try to find the most ultimate values, because you're already pre-programmed with a bunch of intermediate values that are shortcuts in order to sort of simulate a moral sense. So you have to go all the way to the end. What am I really committed to? Or what do I want to be committed to? And then information fucking matters. Empiricism bloody matters. It's like the whole gay rights thing, it actually matters whether or not these are people just trying to defy whatever. Maybe it doesn't, but it matters. It matters a little bit for some people. Whatever. Anyway, um, and it matters for the question of abortion. It matters what's actually happening. Gosh. Admittedly, page 43. Admittedly, the peculiar nature of the argument for reason always leaves open a loophole. In introducing the case for reason, I wrote, as long as people are arguing and persuading, dot, dot, dot. But that's a big as long as. Rationality rejectors can refuse to play the game. They can say, I don't have to just. uh, did y'all watch the video where I was talked about how frustrated I was that my dad, I thought we were having a conversation about something, and he says, I don't have to justify my beliefs to you. All right, so tell me more, Pinker. So they can say, I don't have to justify my beliefs to you. Your demands for arguments and evidence show that you are part of the problem. Well, my dad didn't go that far. Instead of feeling any need to persuade, people who are certain they are correct can impose their beliefs by force. In the oracies and autocracies, nope, in theocracies and autocracies, authorities censor, imprison, exile, or burn those with wrong opinions. Yeah. But I want you to talk to us about how, on just a daily basis, in the road, you meet someone, or you're just having a dinner, and you're having a conversation with your family, and talking about that imposition, that apparent disinterest in arguing and persuading. In democracies, the force is less brutish, but people still find means to impose a belief rather than argue for it. Modern universities, oddly enough given that their mission is to evaluate ideas, have been at the forefront of finding ways to suppress opinions, including disinviting and drowning out speakers, removing controversial teachers from the classroom, revoking offers of jobs and support, expunging contentious articles from archives, and classifying differences of opinions as punishable harassment and discrimination. They respond as Ring Lardner recalled his father doing when the writer was a boy. Shut up, he explained. Huh. Look, you're never going to catch me saying that I'm all about political correctness and all that. You will, however, catch me feeling like there are some ideas that are dangerous and stupid. And if we want a cultural change, then it's okay to. I would never want to remove an idea because anything can be true, anything can be useful. But at some point, it's like, once an idea is on the table, how much time do we spend on it? Because also, here's the thing, because we're brains, there are certain ideas that the brain fucking loves. False things that the brain is just all about. By the way, you know what I'm thinking about we should do? We should reread, maybe. I'm not a rereader, though. But maybe we should reread, because that was over 10 years ago that I read this. What makes your brain happy and why you should do the opposite. We should at least look through it and share some of that stuff with you. But yeah, there's some stuff the brain loves. It's just, hey, look, don't want 1984. All right, in an ideal world where everybody had critical recognition, everybody knew that they were brains, and everybody took some interest and some time to learn their mechanisms and didn't just have total faith in their intuition and even thought that their mechanisms were in their stomach. In that world, yes, a university mustn't be uninviting or punishing and everything that he said. It's just like, I'm like, imagine during slave times, just imagine this story. This is not reality, but just imagine that there were a bunch of universities that were like, slavery is bad, and they started punishing professors who, even though slavery was illegal, they started punishing professors who like had a black student and were like, "Yo, always asking that black student to pass things out or being abusive to the black student." I don't know, whatever. What black student? What am I fucking talking about? Okay, this is not real though, right? Okay, so anyway, all right. Anyway, there is a place for being like, all right, humans are untrained. Humans don't know what they're doing. They can't be trusted with ideas. And it's the same thing with the dog. There are certain things you're just going to be like, no, dog, don't entertain that. I'm going to punish you for entertaining that. I'm going to punish you for not shutting up when I tell you to, blah, blah, blah. Or, okay, or I'm going to give you treats when you shut up when I tell you to. Um, and I'm going to let you keep going, but I'm going to try to train you not to whine or make noise when I don't want you to. All right, however you want to put it. All right. I mean, children, too. When the writer was a boy, yeah, humans need to be dealt with the same way we deal with other species and with children. The only humans who can be exempt from being handled are humans with self-awareness, humans with a little sense about them, humans that have reached maturity where they're no longer believing in myths about souls and your gut brain is where most of your intuition is, whatever other bullshit. And they're like, oh, I am this body. Most of my interpretive mechanisms are there in the skull, this organ we call the brain. Here is how the brain works. Here are some things that the brain has evolved to do, but they might actually not serve its interest. Oh, now you can, I'll let you vote, let you buy alcohol, let you go into areas without surveillance. Hmm. Carrying on. If you know you are right, why should you try to persuade others through reason? Why not just strengthen solidarity within your coalition and mobilize it to fight for justice? One reason is that you would be inviting questions such as, are you infallible? Are you certain that you're right about everything? If so, what makes you different from your opponents who are also certain they're right? And from authorities throughout history who insisted they were right, but who we now know were wrong. Yes. Yes. I mean, this is so obvious and simple here. I mean, but it needs to be said, and it's said well. Thank you, Pinker. If you have to silence people who disagree with you, does that mean you have no good arguments for why they're mistaken? That that it's just that I don't think they'd understand the arguments. The incriminating lack of answers to such questions could alienate those who have not taken sides, and including the generations whose beliefs are not set in stone. So what's our takeaway from that? All right, let's read the last paragraph of this section. Oh, it's dark, so we're actually gonna stop after this. And another reason not to blow off persuasion is that you will have left those who disagree with you no choice but to join the game you are playing and counter you with force rather than argument. They may be stronger than you, if not now, then at some time in the future. At that point, when you are the one who is canceled, it will be too late to claim that your views should be taken seriously because of their merits. Awesome. All right, here's what I want to say as a takeaway. Every perspective and idea matters. to some extent. It matters more than zero. Unfortunately, we have limited time resources and listening resources, so sometimes we have to prioritize, and so sometimes we miss out on some really great stuff. All right, let me say this. In 2018, I had a problem, big problem. I'd been having people interpret my personality and my behavior and telling me about myself. And it wouldn't be everybody in my life, but it would consistently happen that people would think that I wanted to put them down, that uh, just a whole bunch of nasty stuff that I want to repeat now. But stuff like that I find very, very nasty because that is not something I want to be doing or to be. And I don't think that I am. I think it might be misinterpretations. But anyway. But for a long time, I didn't think it was misinterpretations. I didn't understand. I was just really, really confused. And then you need an example, otherwise you're going to start thinking I'm out here doing this terrible shit. So here's an example. New employees would come into the store that I had been working in for a couple of months, and I'd start teaching them about the stuff. Um, Explaining the different soles to them. I was in a shoe store explaining different things, and I'd ask them, "You want me to quiz you?" Blah blah. And I found out like a year later, and I thought, you know, because nobody really did that for me. I had to sort of learn on the go, ask a lot of questions, and a lot of people don't like to ask questions. So I thought I'd help them out. Do you want me to explain some of this stuff to you? If you have any questions, don't hesitate. If you want, I can run through it with you. Blah blah. And then about a year later, I found out that that was interpreted as my trying to show off that I knew the shoe brands and I knew more than the new employee and was better than them. All right. So is that a good enough example? All right. And in fact, the person who told me this was a little bit confused. He thought I had changed because he had heard from other people that I was doing this thing where I was trying to put everyone down by showing off my knowledge about the shoes, which I think I just had a normal amount of knowledge about the shoes, by the way. And he says, "Wow, you must have changed. You're so cool, man." Blah 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 blah. And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, there were already things, but then I wanted him to tell me. I was like, "What'd you hear?" And that was the example that he gave. Oh my gosh, I'll just have to add that one to the list. That's a good one. Okay, so I had a big problem. The people that knew me and that loved me and appreciated me and I had actually I reached out to a bunch of friends when I was having trouble with this job, and I asked them to write letters for me saying that, all right, look, when I met Aries, it's a little funky, it's a little different, and sometimes you're gonna be like, is he trying to blah blah? But then I got to know him and I realized, oh no, that's not the case. So I got 26 of these letters. Um, I mean, some of them were just saying he's great, but others talked about that their first impression was like, eek, blah blah. Right? And the idea was that I would show this to my coworkers so they could so they could first of all not think that when I'm trying to find out what the issue is that I'm trying to cause an issue, because that was a big problem. One time I was like, "Hey, can we talk? I feel like there might be an issue." "Oh, I know you. You're gonna try to create it. You're no," because there was an issue. She was talking about me and she was saying that she was bothered by me, and and then she goes, "You're gonna just try to make it worse, blah blah blah," or something. I don't remember what she said. Anyway, so but I had a problem because some of those people, some of those 26 people, when I would explain to them different situations, because maybe I never had real drama with these people. Even if they misinterpreted me at first, they pretty quickly caught on. That's why they were still in my life. So when I would tell them stories about other people, they would often get it, but still they hadn't really seen it, even though they had also felt similar things to the things that the dramatic people are feeling. Okay. And so they would tell me, "Why do you care so much what they think? Why do you don't worry about them?" And I tried to explain to them, "Hey, you." I tried to explain to them Well, I want to. It's important in order to be moral. You have to hear criticisms when people are telling you that you're doing something wrong. God forbid if they're right, then I need to like change that. I'm confused, and they're like, "But they're not right. You know yourself." I'm like, "No, how can I know myself if these people are looking me straight in the eye and they're certain and they're telling me that I'm a psychopath? I must be delusional." Anyway, they kept telling me, "Hey, hey, don't listen to them." Blah blah blah. Okay. And so someone was telling me that, a girlfriend that I had, or not a girlfriend, but someone, and there were people that she knew that were telling me, um, and I was like, "What's going on?" Blah blah. And she's like, "Don't listen to them, don't listen." Well, then she gets her heart broken because I started dating someone else because she had always held out hope, even though I kept telling her, "Stop, stop, stop, stop. We're friends, we're friends, we're friends." And yeah, I probably could have just taken things in my own hands and stopped listening to her when she said, "Yeah, yeah, I get it. We're friends. Yeah, yeah." Anyway, I start dating someone. She gets her heart broken, and so then she comes and says, "Hey, it's true what they said about you. All this time that you've been pushing me away, telling me like, hey, we can only be friends if like you go date someone else. Sorry, you were emotionally abusing me. When I moved to Paris twice for you, even though you did not ask me to, you did. When I contacted you twice at different points in our relationship, and was like, I'm moving to Paris, and you were absolutely shocked. And it was both times were after times that you had pushed me away. That was you emotionally abusing me. So I had a problem. I thought that I had a good enough system where I listen to the accusations of people that have spent a lot of time with me. And that broke that. She and I were so close. She had so often reassured me. And then, bam. She didn't really say it's true, everything that everybody has said, but she said, like, I was emotionally abusing her. Devastated. Absolutely devastated. Okay? And this is what started the whole going homeless thing. So I go backpacking because my mom's like, you're not gonna go homeless, keep your apartment. So I go backpacking, go hitchhiking, backpacking. I had one big major question, and this is from the Huda playlist. Go to the Huda playlist. It's me traveling around France and Italy and talking. So if you're listening to this, then you'll love that. And I had the one big question. I called it the skepticism problem. How do you stay open to criticism, maintain humility, maintain a skepticism of yourself? That's all like the same thing. While also, well, not like, you know, wasting time with things that are wrong. Because it can't just be, oh, my interior, this feels true, and therefore, I mean, I know that's what a lot of people do. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. And I am against that as people's only system to be like, if it feels true to me, then it is true. No. Okay. So, if I can't just trust myself, how do I determine who around me I'm going to trust? I can't just trust the people saying the things that I like. Apparently, I can't just listen to the people that have spent time with me. Maybe I can listen to people that spent time with me, but then like remove people where the relationship ended badly, um, where there are hurt feelings. Then maybe don't listen to that. Maybe, but no, they could still be saying something true. All right, so here's the answer I figured out. Basically, it's a question of demonstrating critical thinking. If someone says, "Hey, Eris, you're when you tell new employees about those shoes, it's so that you can feel better than them," and I say, "Yo, is it possible that's not true?" Because I'm hearing that it's possible that's true, even though that doesn't feel right to me at all. but I want to take this very seriously. Is it possible that's not true? If they say, yeah, it's possible that's not true. Okay, cool. So let's talk about these two possibilities. Uh, and why, because it seems to look like I'm trying to do that. Let's try to figure out why it looks like that and whether those evidences indicate that that is the case. Because I'm totally open to being a secret sociopath and just not realizing myself. Apparently, everybody around me sees it. Well, not everybody. A bunch of people just see right through my shit. And I'm over here convinced that I've got good intentions and I'm literally doing good things, but violating, sure, certain social codes that I don't know about. Anyway, so oh man, the years I spent trying to learn all the social codes, trying to what I say wrong there? Why was that wrong? Ah, I should have squinted more. Okay. Ah, I should have said because. Ah, okay. Ah, I should have hesitated more while I was saying it. That was it sounded too presumptuous. Even if I don't change the words, if I just hesitate more, that's because I notice. Yeah, you hesitate a lot when you like ask for things, but I feel like I'm asking the same thing, but I get it. You're hesitating. Got it. Got it. Cool. 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 Ah, it's the intonation. Ah, you're doing that squeaky thing. Like gotcha. Okay, I'll do that. Uh huh. Change the eye contact. So I don't remember what my point was. Just leave it there. So yeah. So the skepticism problem, I feel like I got a solution for it. Not really. There's no real test that I have. I wouldn't dare to think that I could come up with a test for critical recognition. Well, I will come up with that. Um, but basically, right now, it's just a feeling, and hopefully, that feeling is not just based on whether they're saying things I like. And I think it isn't because I've had a lot of great relationships with people that I strongly disagreed with, but we were able to talk about these things. We were able to learn from each other about these things, or at least I was able to learn from them. But we should come up with like certain things. Like if someone repeats a premise or a conclusion more than 3 times, even though you've engaged with it, uh, this person is maybe not worth your time. If every time you engage with something that the person is saying, they slip, they start talking about something else, Ian, when you bring that to their attention, they just shut down or they protect themselves or they justify it. Don't spend your time. Don't waste your time. If you're talking to someone who has no questions, who isn't asking you about what you think about what they're saying, who isn't asking you why you think what you're thinking, who it doesn't feel like you're working together on this thing, and we're assuming it's in a conversation where you have fairly equal background, or at least where it's not someone you're some 5-year-old talking to some rocket scientist about rockets. Um, but yeah, so we should make a list of little things like that, and that's kind of what we had done years back. But it was just a very ambiguous, vague thing in our minds, just a way to either this person is able to hear, is able to change their mind, is aware of the possibility that they're wrong, or they're not showing me that that's the case. And then even if they're right, I'm probably not gonna be able to gain anything from it anyway, because I'll need them to persuade me, give me reason, like Pinker was talking about, or things that at least sound like reason to me, and that's not what they're up to. And if anybody ever pulls out the line, look, that's my opinion on the matter. If anyone ever says to you, "Oh, and you're not gonna change my mind," these are all some red flags.